Whether it's the web series or the TV series, there are a lot of things you can learn from Don't Hug Me, I'm Scared. And no, I'm not talking about the lessons that the teachers teach. I don't think there's anything you can learn in there. At least, anything good. But I'm talking about the importance of symbolism and foreshadowing, or how to make surrealist humor work, or how to fix a boring character. And I'm not talking about this boring old orange. I'm talking about Duck Guy, which is kind of strange, isn't it? He's one of the members of the main cast. Shouldn't he be at least somewhat interesting? Well, if we're talking about the TV series, then the answer is yes. But if we're talking about the web series, that's a whole other can of worms, and we're gonna open it right here, right now. This is Duck Guy. How to fix a basic character. Let's start off by talking about Duck Guy's personality in the web series.
Nothing at all.
There you go, hope you enjoyed it. Yeah, he's not exactly the most fleshed out character in the series. Even though these episodes are only about a few minutes each, we do get to see a fair bit of personality from the other two main characters, with Yellow Guy being naive and trusting, and Red Guy being just too smart for this whole thing. Duck Guy? He's just kind of along for the ride. He's only there to be the third member of the main cast, and that's kind of it. You know who he reminds me of? Bucky from Fat Albert. Bucky here doesn't really do anything in the show. He barely has any lines, barely has any presence, barely has any prominence, and he doesn't have any special connections or relationships with the main cast outside of, they're my friends. Out of every episode of Fat Albert, and there are a lot, Bucky has 0 starring roles, not one at all. It's just him being there because they need more people in the main cast? Yes, I get that he was an in-real-life friend of Bill Cosby, stop typing. Duck Guy is kind of similar, though he has a lot more lines, and definitely more charisma than Bucky, but his overall purpose in the group dynamic is exactly the same. He's the third guy. He's the one who does the things that Red Guy's too smart for, or that Yellow Guy's too dumb for. He's kind of the middle. This would work fine for a few minutes short, but what about a TV show? Would a character like this really be sustainable for an entire series? The answer, of course, is no. Luckily, the creators of Don't Hug Me, I'm Scared knew this fully well when they went in to make the show. They decided to give Duck Guy a personality, and boy did it work. Not only did they make him an interesting and funny character, but they made him one of the most integral parts of the main cast. For once, it really feels like they're all equal players. Whereas Yellow Guy is dumb and childish, and Red Guy's the more level-headed authority figure of the group, Duck Guy, he's basically the group jerk. The one with the swollen ego that constantly needs to be taken down a peg again and again and again. Somehow, though, he never seems to learn his lesson, which is kind of funny considering what the show's all about. Duck thinks really highly of himself. In every lesson, he's basically the star student. At least that's how he likes to see himself. That's not always what happens. But whenever they learn a lesson, he's gotta be the smartest and the best. When it comes to family, even though he gets rejected by Lily and Todney, he's the one who has to go out of his way to prove that he's the most family-ish of them all, and showing everyone up by being a dad. He revels in the attention that he gets for being dead, even though he doesn't really know what it means. And when he gets a dead-end job working in a bits and parts factory, he gets upset because clearly he's meant for bigger and better things than this. He should be the boss. He's gonna make a cryptocurrency based around respect, and everyone's gonna love him for it. He doesn't need to work here. Despite the fact that Duck has a pretty large superiority complex, he's far from an unlikable character. For one, he's really funny. In fact, I'd say he's the funniest of the main three. Red Guy's straight man routine is always a lot of fun, and yeah, Yellow Guy has his amazing one-liners. But in my eyes, Duck is the main comedic force of the trio because of the one thing he brings that the others can't: conflict. Whether it's not letting Yellow Guy have a touch on of the clipboard, or getting after Yellow Guy for forgetting the password for computer day, or even something as simple as wanting both Chuddle Dollops for himself, Duck Guy is the character that pushes the other two's buttons. And when he does that, either a really good joke ensues, or something that sparks the main lesson of the episode, and it's always something that has to do with Duck. In Jobs, Duck is the one who gets bored of just sitting around the house and he wants to do something with his life, like, say, get a job. In Death, he's all excited and smug about being dead, and then lo and behold, the coffin shows up. In friendship, while both he and Red Guy were getting mad at Yellow Guy, Duck Guy seems to be more aggressive towards him. In transport, Duck Guy just doesn't really understand what Red Guy means when he says he wants to go out in the world and do stuff outside of their house. And his increasingly worse attempts to appease Red Guy push him over the edge, which starts off the lesson. In electricity, Duck is not only the first person to dismiss electricity, but he also comes a raving fanatic just like Red Guy, and helps make everything in the house electric. And here we are, going a little bit out of order, but saving the best for last. In family, Duck Guy not only keeps going against what Lily and Todney say, having absolutely no patience for their crap, but he also constantly insists that he's the leader of their family, group, clump, whatever they are.
I'm the dad, he's the pet, and
You, the dad? No.
And when he doesn't get his way, he constantly tries to insert himself into other families and take on the dad role, even though he's very clearly not wanted. You see, friends, this is what you should do when you have kind of a basic character that doesn't really have much to them, and you need to start using them for more stories. You add to them in a way that feels natural when it comes to who they used to be. I could so easily see web show Duck Guy acting like this, especially when it comes to his reaction to what is the biggest thing in the world.
Mountains? A sky? A windmill?
No!
I'm so happy that they decided to do this with Duck. Not only has he become one of the most important and one of the most loved characters in the series, but it also shows any future writer out there how to really flesh out a character even when it seems like there's nothing there. And trust me, this is a very important lesson. So many times there have been attempts to fix a character that wasn't working, and it ends in disastrous results. I'm gonna give you 2 examples right here, and let's start off with what I would consider the least severe option, Fat Albert. Yes, we're talking about Bucky again, but not the Bucky from the show. The Bucky from the 2004 movie starring Kenan Thompson.
Who wants to play?
Bucky had a very similar issue as Duck. Both were characters that wouldn't really work in an extended setting, and surprise, here comes an extended setting.
Fat Albert.
So what did they do? They made Bucky into this. Yeah, Bucky suddenly becomes the team weirdo, even though that was kind of what Weird Harold was supposed to be. He makes these weird gestures, he's prone to saying non sequiturs, he gets in fights with the other members of the cast. He's just generally strange and weird, but at the same time, it doesn't feel like Bucky. When I see Duck getting all greedy or self-absorbed, I can go, yeah, that is how Duck should act. But when I see Bucky being really weird and acting like a freak, I can't see the real Bucky doing that at all. But hey, it could be worse. They could have given Duck the stereo treatment. About a year ago, I talked about this show called Space Goofs. Space Goofs was a wild and crazy show that lasted for 2 seasons. Those 2 seasons were very different from each other, to the point where they don't even really feel like the same show. One of the main differences they have is the character of Stereo. Stereo was a member of the main cast who was so hated by the writers that they decided to write him out in the 2nd season entirely, barely giving a reason for how he left. The reason that was given behind the scenes? He was boring. He didn't have any character. There were no stories to be had. Yeah, I agree, Stereo was really boring, but you know what you could have done? Give him a personality. Give him an interesting character quirk. Give him something. Don't just kick him to the curb and say, we almost tried. Of course, that wouldn't have really worked for Duck, given the fact that he's really recognizable, but still, this could have so easily gone wrong, but it didn't. And that's because the people behind the show care about their craft. They want to make the best product that they possibly can. So when they see a weak spot, or something that might trip them up later down the line, they fix it, even if it's a pre-established part of the show. Changing Duck Guy like this was a very big risk. We know how much people, especially people on the internet, absolutely love change, right? They love it, always. Nothing different ever makes them mad. One false step, especially with a character as beloved as Duck, could easily tank the show. But they gave him a personality that really fits with who he used to be. It was natural, sure, but it also added new things to the show, which would allow them to be able to fill up the 22-minute format with content and not just mindless filler. That, and he enhances the group, adding elements, themes, and dynamics that weren't there before but were definitely needed. Overall, if you really need to change a character or add more elements to a character when they're just not working out, this is the way to do it. To any writers out there, use Duck as your inspiration because Duck is the best. He told me so, and that's how I know it's true. Well, folks, thanks for watching the video. What'd you guys think? Who are some other characters that are very similar to web series Duck Guy or Bucky or Stereo who they're basically just there to be a member of the main cast and fill up space, but don't exactly have anything else to them? Comment below and let me know because I'm always excited to hear what you guys have to say. And now it's time to thank our wonderful Patreon people, starting with our Masters of Fate, Manny Paredes, Kev, Leaf Storm, Ryan Williams, Chan 11, and Woody Woo. And let's not forget our executive producers, Unkale, Blackjack, Edward Haas, H.R. Hoffman, Who Else But Zane, YouTube Milkwad, Albert Robinson, I Am Fove, Aaron Vasquez, Ravioli Supremo, and Wes Franklin. If you too would like your name read at the end of every Media Mementos video, then why not consider donating to the Patreon? There's a fancy little link in the description below for you to check out. Alright folks, thanks for watching and I'll see you guys next time. I have an appointment with my Shredder.